Hi, everybody. My name is Kate Mazeris, and I'm an author and yoga instructor living in Toledo, Ohio. Thanks for tuning into my channel. Today, I'm going to share chapter 3 of The Lacemakers. This is the second chapter that's told by Emerald, who is a young girl living in slavery in Lincoln County, Tennessee. If you're interested in listening to more chapters from the Lacemakers, I'll put a description in the box below. This video is for readers who are aged 15 years and up. Before I read this chapter, I wanted to let you know I came across a study that was posted on the National Education Association, just found it this morning, and it says that only 8% of U.S. high school seniors can identify slavery as the central cause of the Civil War. This is according to a new report released by the Teaching Tolerance Project of the Southern Poverty Law Center. I also saw something recently about a woman who was talking about her daughter's homework from a high school level, and they were being taught that the history of the people who were brought here in slavery was unknown, that before they came to America, they were probably slaves or servants, which is not true at all. And the mother said, I would rather the schools say, we're not going to cover this information to her daughter, who is Black, than to tell her child a blatant lie. I think it is so important for Americans to remember our history. America was not the first country to have slavery, but it was one of the first countries to look at slavery as an anathema and to do something about it. So part of the reason that I'm sharing the Lacemakers with everyone is to give a voice to the people, or to one child in particular, who lived through this. And in the back of the book, if you choose to get your own copy, I'll put information in the description below. But in the back of the book, there's a list of references that I read. And one of the books, actually, I'll read the title to you here, and I'll put a specific link to this one. It was Slavery and the Making of America by Jimmy Oliver Horton. And then another one called Growing Up in Slavery, Stories of Young Slaves as Told by Themselves. One of the most wonderful books that I read was Incidents in the Life of a Slave Girl by Harriet Ann Jacobs. That book in particular struck me because she didn't even know she was a slave until she got older, because of the way that her family treated her. And then once she became older and knew that, she realized what was going on in her life, then things started to shift. But there was a wide variety of how slaves were treated, but all of them were owned. All of them were property. And for us in America to not teach our children the actual truths of what happened is a disservice to them. It's a disservice to our history and our ability to overcome that. But I think that's part of the reason that anti-Semitism and bigotry have risen in America, because people are not being properly educated and informed. So as I read this next chapter from Emerald, you're going to get to know her mother, Ruby, a little more, and what her life is like in the big house where she lives with her family. So remember in the last chapter by Emerald, she was just talking about how her father was sold, or actually traded. Her slave master is an alcoholic, and he lost a gambling debt to another slave owner in the area, and he didn't have any money to pay him. So he gave Emerald's father to this man who tried to escape and come back to his family and was eventually murdered. So now we're going to meet Emerald's other parent, Ruby. So thank you for listening. I hope you enjoy this chapter. And while I'm reading, actually, let me just share a copy of the cover here so you can just notice that. Let's see. Share that. There we go. Okay. My feet are wet with morning dew as I walk into the kitchen where Mama already been for an hour. She wearing her hair tied up in a rag and her light brown skin shine with sweat. Sometime I think she looked like the hot cocoa we make for the children at Christmas time. Eyes light like Mama, but opal and pearl be dark like our daddy. But I's the only one with green eyes, 'cause everyone else got brown. Mama say they be special. She say her mama had a little bit of green in her eyes too, and ain't it lucky I get to carry a little of my grandmama with me every day. I wipe my shoes on the rag rug Mama made last summer, then hang my shawl on a peg by the door. The coffee already made, the tea set ready to serve Massa and Missus. Mama even polish up the silver forks and knives and spoons. Who comin' to visit today, I wonder. Then I remember. It'd be Mr. Rotten's day to deliver the flour and oats and cornmeal from the general store. That make my stomach tie up in knots, and I want to stay close to Mama all the time. But he need to come, 'cause we low on everything with the war raging on, and spring not comin' on real good yet. Massa be the only one of the few plantation owners still left in our corner of Lincoln County, 'cause he done lost the hearing in one of his ears when he was a boy. The Rebs told him, the heck with you, and Massa go back to farming. Earl say when they was in town, he heard them Yanks done whooped up on the Rebs in Alabama and all over Virginia, except I don't know where them places is. How can people I ain't never met be willing to give their lives for folks like me? I's always thinking on something, and today that what I's wondering as I take down an apron from the peg by the stove. Then I remember Mama's story about Jesus and how he give up his life for all of us poor folks here on earth. But Jesus done come back 3 days after he been hung on a cross, and I know sure as the sun be shining that none of them Yanks gonna rise up out their graves anytime soon. Morning, Emerald, Mama say, giving me a little peck on the cheek. You sleep good last night? I shake my head. No, ma'am. Mama know I ain't sleeping good, 'cause I lie in bed with her now that Daddy gone. Mama and I keep our shack neat as a pin. We even has some old chipped up china Mrs. say ain't no good to keep in the big house. Mama's bed has a quilt my grandmama sewed, a pillow, and even a hay mattress. But that don't do no good to help me sleep. I lie there and hold my token, a little chunk of stone on a leather strap that I got to wear around my neck. It has my letters on it. It say E.S. for Emerald Settler. So in case I get it up into my head to run off, anyone who catch me know who I belong to. That'd be so dumb. Even I know all I gots to do is take it off and bury it in the forest somewheres, and no one gonna know who I is. Mama give me the token that Earl stole when Mr. Rotten made him bury my daddy, and I wears that too. I rub daddy's little chunk of stone and feel them letters. J.S., they say, 'cause his name be Juniper Settler. One day when I'm big enough to use an awl, I gonna scratch that dern S right off both our tokens. Then we just be Emerald and Juniper, the way it ought to be. I rub them tokens like Mrs. rub her rosary. Every time I see Mrs. fingering them beads, I think on what I think on when she say it stop her from worrying so much. It don't do nothing for me, though. I still worry about Mama and Opal and Pearl, how they might get taken away, 'cause no matter how much I rub Daddy's stone, I know I ain't never gonna see him again. Baby girl, will you please get me some butter from the cooler, Mama asked. She busy slicing bread for toast. Massa like it thick, Mrs. like it thin, and I like the end piece, which Mama always saves for me, even though Mrs. say give it to the sparrows and crows that peck her little garden all the livelong day. Mama toasts the end till it nice and crunchy, then coat it up with warm butter and sprinkle it with cinnamon, sugar, and a pinch of clove. Here you go, little bird, she sing, giving me a wink. Tweet, tweet, I chirp. That be the best thing I et all day long. Plus, I get to sit at the table in the kitchen and plop my behind on a real chair, not like how Mama and I has to sit on the bed or on an old stump when we eats at our place. Sometimes I pretend I's not a slave, but a little girl settin' in her own kitchen, and I pretend Mama ain't no slave neither, but just my Mama making me breakfast like any other white child in Lincoln County. I go to the cooler and pull out the box of butter. You want it all, Mama? One little slice do just fine, she say, stoking the fire. I be making Massa's eggs early today. We's going into town later this morning to get the dry goods. That true, Mama? I asked, lifting my brows. I's so excited. First, 'cause I ain't gonna have to see Mr. Rotten. Plus, whenever Massa take me and Mama into town, I get to set and watch the children play outside in the schoolyard. And I get to go with Mama while she barter with Mrs. Snow, the lady who run the store. Mama sell her lace and quilts and even some of the vegetables from our own garden when we has too many, which ain't often. Mrs. Snow nice, but not too nice. She give Mama yarn ain't nobody want and old scraps of material and then say, let's see what miracles you can work with that, Ruby. Mama always surprised Mrs. Snow. No matter how uneven the yarn, no matter how nasty the material, my mama can always make something beautiful out of something ugly. Then she sell it for money that belong only to her, not to Massa. She saving to buy our freedom, her and mine both. Mama once told me, I know they's some folks who run off and such, but I ain't in they shoes, so I can't fault 'em. But I want to be free legal. I ain't gonna take the chance somebody snatch you away from me like they've done your daddy if we got caught. I ain't know how much Mama got saved so far, but I do know where she keep it, and I ain't telling nobody no how. I's excited we get to go to town so Mama can earn more nickels and dimes and maybe even $1 if she can sell Mrs. Snow that pretty baby quilt she sewed with all the clothes little Sam and Mary Bell growed out of this year. I gets to come too, I say, handing her the butter. It not a question, 'cause Mama know I do almost anything to get out of the house for the day. Yes, child, she chuckled. That way I get the silver done now. Mrs. says she gonna have company tomorrow, and I's not sure I'd be able to get it done and put supper on the table tonight. You need me to make something for Mrs. and little Sam and Mary Bell for supper? I asked. No, baby, Mama say. But you can go pick some peas from the garden and start shelling 'em. Mama cracked Massa's eggs into the hot butter as I take a wooden bowl from the shelf. I wrap my shawl round my shoulders, then step outside to the small garden Mrs. and Mama tend nearly all year long. The spring peas be poppin', and in no time I got enough for more than Mrs. and the children. Maybe Mama will let me have some for my supper, too. I love peas more than anything, and we don't get 'em much. Mostly we just has hot cornbread and pork rind and whatever we can grow in our little patch by the shack. Massa give us a bunch of seeds, but they never seem to grow as good as Mrs.'s garden do. Even so, my onions be the best on the plantation, but I don't know why. Whenever they comin' in strong, I always take a handful to Massa's kitchen, 'cause Mrs. don't know how to tend 'em. Maybe she don't like to touch stuff that make her cry. I cry enough over my daddy, so a little onion juice ain't gonna hurt me none. When I bring the peas into the kitchen, Mama already has another dish on the table ready for me. It's my favorite one, 'cause it has Queen Anne's lace painted on it with silver ink. It nearly matched the lace Mama stitched into the collar of my shirt she made for me last Christmas. When I put it on, she told me, Emerald, I's gonna teach you how to make lots of different laces, but that be the most perfect kind on earth. How come? I asked, running my fingers over the little knobs and bumps in the flowers. Mama fixed my collar so it set just right. 'Cause that be God's lace, honey, and ain't nobody nowhere can make lace like that. It bloom and die and bloom and die over and over. That be a miracle, huh? Yes, baby, Mama say, hugging me. Now I set on the stool, and one by one I shell them peas, feeling the hard little balls slide off of my finger as they go plink, plink, plink onto the little china dish. Some days I feel like dropping it on the hard wooden floor so it might chip, and Mrs. will say Mama can tote it back to home to our shack. But what if it break into pieces, I wonder? I decide to just let it be. Maybe sometime it get chipped when Mama or Mrs. or even Mary Bell using it, and I don't have to worry about destroying something that be a picture of what God made. Mama clear her throat. I look up to see her gazing out the window. Then she looked back at Massa's eggs in the pan. Just like always, they a mess of yellow and white, all mixed up together. Mama give 'em a little flip then press hard with the spatula so they get nice and cooked on that side too. Why do you do that, Mama? I asked, taking the peas to the sink where I go rinse them good. Do what? Why you always break Massa's eggs like that? I pump the handle of the faucet as hard as I can. It be cold and stiff in the morning chill, but soon I get a trickle going. Mama don't say nothing for a moment. I think she don't hear me, so I ask one more time. As she slide them eggs on a plate, she say real quiet like, when I break Massa's eggs, I ain't no slave. I do it to send him a message. What message? Mama give me a gentle smile. Emerald, you need to listen with different ears. I frown as I rinse the peas. These be the only ears I got. I can't change 'em like Maribel changed her hair ribbons. Don't sass me, baby girl, Mama snapped. She mad 'cause I got a sharp tongue, but who she think I got it from if it weren't her? I ain't sassin', I say. I was just wondering how you send a message to Massa by messing with his eggs. Mama sigh. Emerald, you may be a slave in your body, but you only a slave in your mind if you wants to be. She say it like it be fact. I know what that mean, 'cause Mrs. teach me fact from fiction just last week. Still, I don't know about wanting to be a slave in my mind. What that mean, I ask her. All them Yanks and folks up north fighting for our freedom, but I figured out long ago that I's already free, and you is too. You just don't know it yet. She set Massa's plate on a tray with the toast and jam and the big silver coffee pot. Every time I break Massa's eggs, I feel a little more free. I choose to do it, see? He ain't never said nothing about it, and I don't do it malicious like. What malicious? It mean to be nasty on purpose, she say. I don't hate Massa no more. I hate what he done to your daddy, but he ain't never laid a finger on me or one of you girls. Still, I do it to show him I's a person who can do what she wants sometime. I nod. See, baby, I used to play with Massa Sam when I was a child, just like you play with little Sam and Maribel. My mama's milk be both his and mine. Mama say we held hands when we was nursing, and when we got bigger, we played together like we's kin. I know him like I knew my own sister. You remember her? Uh-huh. But I don't really, 'cause Auntie Jasmine died when I was just a bitty thing. She got kicked in the head by a horse when she working in the field and never got up. Mama put her hands on her hips. When I break Massa's eggs, it's like I'm saying to him, I's still the same Ruby you played with when you was a boy. I's still the same person who seen your daddy whip your hide. I's still the same person your mama hate like the devil. I's still the same even though you the Massa now. Mama put a fork and knife by Massa's plate, then look at me directly. And that how I be free. I hear every word she say, trying to listen with them different ears. I wonder what it gonna feel like when little Sam be the Massa and I be like Mama. I's learned my place in the order of things around here. I know I ain't never gonna have no say in what go on in the big house. I know I got to do whatever the white folks say. But when Mama talk like she do right now, I feel like I ain't no slave neither. I's just Emerald. While Mama feed Massa and the children they breakfast, I take some cornbread and a pail of fresh water to the folks in the field. They's been up since 'fore dawn, milking the cow, toting hay, scooping poop and such. In the fresh morning breeze, I smell the spruce and pine trees growing tall and proud near the edge of the plantation. The green leaves just be popping on the maple trees, but they ain't no whirligigs coming on 'em yet. I like evergreens the best 'cause they be just that, evergreen, all year long. I smell them clean, sharp spruce needles, and it make me long for Christmas when we ain't got nothing to do but sit on our behinds and gobble up the holiday cake Mama makes and think about what old Santa Claus would bring us if we had a stocking to hang by the fireplace. If we even had a fireplace and not just a fire pit outside our shack. I see Opal in the hen house poking round the nests, careful not to get pecked to death. She says she ain't never seen a bunch of chickens as feisty as the ones Massa got this year. But they lay a heap of eggs every morning, and Opal always tell me to sneak a few into our shack so Mama can scramble up some for my supper. Missus ain't gonna miss a few eggs now and again, she say, real sassy like. Opal always trying to pull the wool over Massa and Miss's eyes. Lies pour from her lips like milk from a pitcher and land like thick cream no matter what she's saying. I think it funny how Massa and any of the men folk around here lap it up just like little kittens. Opal has big dark eyes that shine and snap when she tellin' a tall one. She got long legs and roundish breasts and hips, and I guess the men's just hear what they wants to when she starts spinning her web o' lies. Everyone working while they singin' follow the drinking gourd, and I long for Mama to teach me the harmony part. She already taught me how to sing Swing Low, Sweet Chariot and Ezekiel Saw the Wheel. Swing Low be my favorite, especially when we sing the part about angels coming after me. I wonder if them angels is wearing lace wings like Mama say. Just in case, every time I sit down to knit, I start a hummin' and weave the words into my stitches. When I get to singing out loud, Mama say, with that pretty little voice, someday you gon' get to heaven riding on them angels' wings. Now Opal stops singing and motioned for me. Emerald, get your behind over here and tote these to the big house. She popped 2 small eggs into my apron pockets, then handed me a straw basket. Old Bessie outdid herself this morning. I counted 5 under her rump. How about Gertie? I asked. That be my favorite hen, 'cause she brown and black and red, not all white and plain like the others. She still ain't got a one, Opal say, standing up, stretching her long arms over her head. Someday soon she gon' be stewing in the soup pot. I frowned, tears coming to my eyes. Opal chucked my shoulder. I's kidding with you, Emerald. She lay them 2 little bitty things in your pockets. I figure you want to have Gertie's 'cause she your favorite and all. 'Cept I don't know why. She ornery as sin. I smile, fingering them warm brown eggs that come straight from Gertie's nest. What you got for our breakfast? Opal asked. Like she don't know. I brought you some fancy pancakes and maple syrup, I sass. Opal rolled her eyes. Oh, what a feast. We's lucky today. Mama and me's going to town with Massa, I tell her. We gon' get the dry goods and such. Maybe Mama make you oatmeal for supper. Opal nod. I have some leftover honey from last summer. That'd be a nice treat after working all day. I know how lucky I is to work in the big house with Mama, 'cause they ain't a day go by that I not with her morning, noon, and night. The only time I has to get outside is when I tend Missis's little garden. Opal and Pearl and they husbands all gots to tend the animals in the fields. Now that she big, Pearl doing more of the hoeing and less of the toting. When the baby come, I guess she gonna strap it to her back and keep on working. Keen done take over as the blacksmith when Mr. Rotten take my daddy, and sometime he work with Massa, planning where to plant the crops and how to rotate 'em and such. Old Albert come to our place just last winter when his Massa died, and he give Albert to Massa Settler in his will. He ain't too happy to be here, no sir. Old Albert say he too feeble to hoe and rake and pick cotton. Said he was just getting used to overseeing, and now look where he be. The men say he do the best he can, but old Albert be stiff and slow. He can't do half the work Hale and Isaac can. Maybe Massa take pity on old Albert someday and let him come be a butler or something in the big house. Then Mama and me can have someone else to talk to sides ourselves. I like old Albert. He tell funny stories about Brer Rabbit and Brer Fox and how they always getting into some kind of fix. I like the one about how Brer Rabbit gets stuck in some tar and begged Brer Fox to throw him into a briar patch to put him out of his misery. That mean old Brer Fox think it be some kind of punishment, so he do just that. But sly Brer Rabbit been born and lived his whole life in them prickly bushes, and he free in no time, laughing about how he done fooled Brer Fox for good measure. I beg old Albert to tell that tale over and over while we warms ourselves by the fire at night. Mama say I like it 'cause I need to learn how to stay away from sticky things that cause a heap of trouble. But I say I like it because what looked like the end for that clever Brer Rabbit turned out to be only the beginning. And so that's the end of Sapphire's second chapter. If you've been listening over the past few videos that I've created, you'll notice that some of the imagery is going to overlap between Karen's story and Emerald's story. The train whistles, the pine needles, even the little peas. In Karen's chapter, she was talking about her mother finding a stray pea in the food and begging her to eat it. And now here Emerald is hoping for peas in her dinner as well. And that was just something that came naturally as I was writing the stories, that the imagery would overlap with items that the girls are either handling or talking about. And as the story progresses on, you'll see how other parts overlap as well. So thank you so much for listening. Please feel free to share this video with teachers or educators or anyone who might be interested in this story. I'd be happy to talk with your group, your book group, your classes about the process of writing The Lacemakers and how historical fiction in any form that's accurate can give us such a truly meaningful look at what history has been in our country and around the world. So thanks for listening, everybody. Enjoy your day.